This is the first work by Hilaire Belloc that I've presented in at least a couple of months. For those who wonder, the picture I use for my work is not of me in sunglasses. It's of Hilaire Belloc. This is what he actually looked like. He's a bit of an intellectual hero of faith for me, and I greatly admire his work, both because his work is objectively brilliant, but also because he had the courage, when confronted with the truths of Catholic social doctrine that came from Pope Leo XIII and his predecessors and successors, he had the courage to repudiate his past errors and to work with like-minded friends of his to get people who still held to those errors he rejected and lead them out of them. Belloc was a historian, a philosopher, poet, playwright, novelist, and even at times a comedic writer. His cautionary tales are the stuff of legends. You can find them online to read if you want. They're quite humorous. If you can think of a topic, he wrote on it. Whether it was history or economics or the study of landscapes and travel and such. Was he right about everything? No, certainly not. But then again, I'm not either, and we don't judge our heroes based on their infallibility. If so, we'd have precious few people in the faith we could look to for guidance. In that same way, we know that his friend, and the more famous of the two, G.K. Chesterton, was also a great mind of his time, and would spar with the likes of Bertrand Russell and others who promoted ideas that the Church found, at the very least, to be seductive, and that they would lead one down the path of error. Chesterton wasn't perfect either, but both were complete thinkers. That is something lacking in our time. Today I have a short essay by Mr. Belloc on rest, and what rest truly is. It is Sunday, after all, the day the Lord mandated as a day of rest, and so it is a worthy topic. As an aside, I have later today a video on the penitential rosary, explaining what it is, how to say it, and where it came from. Please watch that video and join us in saying the penitential rosary at least one time during Lent this year. We'll be saying it as an act of penance for the things we see Francis doing these days with increased bravado. So please watch it and join us. As always, thanks for spending time with me today. On to Mr. Belloc. On Rest by Hilaire Belloc. Rest is not the conclusion of labor, but the recreation of power. It seems a reward because it fulfills a need, but that need being filled, rest is but an extinction and a nothingness. So we do not pray for rest, but we pray after this life for refreshment, light, and peace, not for rest. Rest is only for a little while, as also is labor only for a little while, each demanding the other as a supplement. Yet is rest in some intervals a necessary ground for seed, and without rest to protect the sprouting of the seed, no good thing ever grew. Of many follies in a commonwealth concerning rest, the chief is that rest is not needed for all effort therein. Thus one man at leisure will obtain work of another for many days without a sufficiency of rest for that other, and think to profit by this. So he may, but he profits singly, and when many rich do so by the poor, it is like one eating his own flesh, since the withdrawal of rest from those that labor will soon eat up the commonwealth itself. Much that men do with most anxiety is for the establishment of rest. Wise men have often ordered gardens carefully for years, in order to enjoy rest at last. Beds also are devised best when they give the deepest interval of repose, and are surrounded by artifice with prolonged silence, made of quiet strong wood, and well curtained from the morning light. It is so with rooms removed from the other rooms of a house, and with days set apart from labor, and with certain kinds of companionship. Undoubtedly, the regimen of rest for men is that of sleep, and sleep is a sort of remedy to rest, and again a true expression of it. For though these two, rest and sleep, are not the same, yet without sleep no man can think of rest, nor has rest any one better body or way of being than this thing, sleep. For in sleep a man utterly sinks down in proportion as it is deep and good, into the center of things, and becomes one with that from which he came, drawing strength not only by negation from repose, but in some way positive from the being of his mother, which is the earth. Some say that sleep is better near against the ground on this account, and all men know that sleep in wild places and without cover is the surest and the best. Sleep promises waking as rest does a renewal of power, and the good dreams that come to us in sleep are a proof that in sleep we are still living. A man may deny himself any other voluptuousness, but not rest. He may forego wine or flesh or anything of the body, and music or of disputation or anything of the mind, or love itself, or even companionship, but not rest. For if he denies himself, this he wastes himself, and is himself no longer. Rest, therefore, is a necessary intermittent, which we must have both for soul and body, and is the only necessity inherent to both those two, so long as those two are bound together in the matter and net of this worth. For food is a necessity to the body, and virtue to the soul, but rest to one and to the other. There is no picture of delight in which we envy other men so much as when, lacking rest, we see them possessing it, on which occasions we call out unwisely for a perpetual rest, and for the cessation of all endeavor. In the same way, men devise a lack of rest for a special torment, and none can long survive it. Rest and innocence are good fellows, and rest is easier to the innocent man. The wicked suffer unrest always in some sort on account of God's presence warning them, though this unrest is stronger and much more to their good if men also warn them, and if they live among their fellows in their commonwealth, as will not permit their wickedness to be hidden or to go unpunished. Rest has no time, and in its perfection must lose all mark of time. So a man sleeping knowing deeply knows not how many hours have passed since he fell asleep until he awakens again. There are many good accompaniments for rest. Slow and distant music, which at last is stiller and then silent, the scent of certain herbs and flowers, and particularly of roses, clean linen, a pure, clean air, and the coming of night. To all these things prayer, an honorable profession, and a preparation of the mind are in general a great aid. And in the heat of the season, cool water refreshed with essences. A man also should make his toilet for rest if he should have it full and thorough, and prepare his body as his soul for relaxation. He does well also in the last passage of his mind, and to sleep to commend himself to the care of God, remembering how petty are all human vexations, and also how wearisome they are, turning now a face of terror, and then, in a moment, another face of laughter, or of insignificance. Many troubles that seem giants at evening are but dwarfs at sunrise, and some most terrific prove ghosts, which speed off with the broadening of the day.